Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hello, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News, your #1 source, folks, for the facts with receipts on the RVGCR, where for the last 5 years, Goldilocks has always said, watch the water, because that is where the real RV, the global currency reset, will begin. Why? Because it is on the water where currencies move from country to country. Folks, we are having more and more members now that the tariffs have gone into effect, more coming in on April the 9th. We have more members every day that are announcing their appointments with their wealth managers, where the wealth managers are talking about tariffs and the effects of it to our members and how currencies are involved. Think about that. Where we have the actual bankers. These are where the members are meeting these bankers. These are bankers who are from the inside. These are the real high-level sources. They're telling our members that it is the tariffs that is going to affect the markets and their investments and the currencies. You have an opportunity, and the opportunity is very slim. A very short period of time. The clock is ticking for you to begin establishing your relationships. You can click the link at the top of the description. Join the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room, where Wiley, myself, and the beautiful tribe, we wrap our arms around our members, and these are the people that you are hearing daily updates from their bankers, multiple members each and every day. Not a day goes by. Only time we don't get updates is on Sunday because the room is closed. But every single day, multiple members. It is a pleasure and an honor for us to serve you folks. But the time is not going to be for long. Now, today, Goldilocks is giving us more details on these tariffs, how it affects the reset, and specifically Iraq and Vietnam, and the things that they have done in order to respond to these tariffs. Let's jump right into it. Vietnam has asked the United States to delay the implementation of the tariffs that start for them on April the 9th. They are at the point where they have asked President Trump, please do not hit us with these tariffs on April the 9th. Let's sit down and talk. Let's negotiate. Folks, on April the 9th, when it comes to these tariffs that go into effect, a part of those tariffs, currencies will be a part of it. The United States is pursuing critical mineral agreements that Goldilocks is sharing. Critical mineral agreements with Vietnam alongside these broader tariffs. The United States has been actively engaging with countries like Ukraine to secure access to their critical minerals, which are vital for national security, technology, and economic competitiveness. Historically, between the United States and Vietnam, they have laid the groundwork for cooperation in this area of critical minerals. In fact, in 2023, during Biden's administration and his visit to Vietnam, the United States and Vietnam elevated their relationship between each other to what's called a comprehensive strategic partnership, which included a memorandum of understanding to strengthen technical and critical mineral supply. What are critical minerals? Assets underground. Vietnam, folks, is home to some of the world's largest reserves of rare earth minerals and other critical minerals, which are vital for high-tech industries like electronics, renewable energy, and defense. An agreement between the United States could boost Vietnam's mining sector by attracting foreign investment. This would lead to higher foreign exchange flows of the Vietnamese dong, which will affect the Vietnamese dong rate. This is where the rates and things will begin to change as agreements are put into place of what will be imported and exported on the water, how these products will move on the water, the technology utilized in order for these products to move around the world on the water. This is going to be a round of a negotiation between the U.S. and Vietnam and Iraq and other countries that will ultimately lead to the changing of currency values. Specifically in Iraq, and this is a quote directly from the central bank. Quote, it remains unclear how the Ministry of Finance in Iraq plans to manage expenses for the remainder of the year, as 95% of Iraqi's currency is held outside of the banking system, which amounts to 95.5 trillion dinars. This is the conversation, folks, and that's an end quote. This is the conversation that the CBI had with D, Goldilocks, and myself a couple of weeks ago. Actually, a couple of months ago, on October the 14th, about how much of Iraq's money is outside of the banking system. But more and more people, almost 50% of their population, is now tapped in with digital banking. When it comes to all of this money, these dinars that Iraq has outside of its banking system, Goldilocks wants you to know that when it comes to countries keeping a large sum of money, or in this case, Iraq keeping a large sum of dinar outside of their banking system, the question is, does that mean that their money is in correspondent banks, international correspondent banks, which are banks that use the dinar to make transactions throughout the world? You got to realize when large amounts of currency, like 95 trillion dinars, is held outside of Iraq's banking system, typically this means that people are hoarding cash, hoarding dinar under their mattresses or somewhere else, rather than depositing them in their banking system. The new digital banking system, folks, is designed for Iraqis to become more comfortable to put their dinars into the banking system. More and more trust is being confirmed in Iraq for their banking system. With Iraq, all these dinars outside of Iraq, this can reduce the money available for lending in Iraq, investments, and growth. This is why Iraq has a large push right now with their economic reform for more Iraqis to accept digital banking. What are we doing here in the United States and around the world? Same thing. Moving to digital banking. What this move can do is pull more dinars off the street and into their banking system. Iraq is in the midst of their education to help people to become more educated and more comfortable with their banks in Iraq. This is all in preparation to revalue the Iraqi dinar. They have to get as many of these dinars off of the street as possible and into the banks. What's a great way, a fast way to get the dinars off of the street? You guessed it. A revaluation where all these currencies are brought in from around the world. And they won't have to get them in Iraq as long as they're exchanged, no matter what country. If it's U.S., if it's the UK, if it's England, if it's Vietnam, no matter where in the world, the use of digital mechanisms is a medium of exchange that can restore confidence in the Iraqi banking system. A part of this as well related to the tariffs. Iraq, just last week, Iraq was saying, the beginning of last week, Iraq was saying, nope, they're not concerned about the tariffs from Trump. They're not really going to be affected by the tariffs. A minimal impact. And then all of a sudden, this weekend, Iraq comes out with a 4-point plan to respond to the Trump tariffs, asking President Trump if they can negotiate. These are agreements that Iraq came up with this weekend, and they want to negotiate immediately to avoid what tariffs will be in effect for them. Number one, Iraq wants to open outlets for distributors and American commercial companies to come into Iraq for investment. Oh, Iraq wants to open their doors to American investors all now? Number two, they want to develop more of a banking relationship between the United States and Iraq. More banks to be involved in Iraq, more U.S. banks. You couldn't think about this before? Three, they want to review the foundations of commercial relationships with the United States. And number four, Iraq is asking for an open dialogue with the United States on trade. Quote, the American sector side of trade, end quote. Iraq wants to negotiate trade of more products other than majority of just oil. So, here we have Iraq now asking the United States, can we open trade, more trade with you, United States? Where are the currencies around the world moving and will move? On the water by what trade? What is interesting, Goldilocks is saying, is that about these agreements that Iraq now wants to have with the United States, is that this will lead Iraq to a market economy. A market economy would move their exchange rate from the government's control of their dinar to whereby the market will determine the value of the dinar through supply and demand. And demand for the dinar would change the value of the dinar organically. Folks, things are getting hot and heavy. Get ready. Hope you got your popcorn and it's warm, because things are about to pop off. Stay grounded, folks. The tariffs unlock the door for the RV. Stay grounded. Watch.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.